There is something inside you that has never been updated. Not once. Not by education. Not by civilization. Not by decades of living in a world with electric lights, emergency services, and grocery stores on every corner. It was there the day you were born. It was there in your parents. And their parents. And every human being stretching back in an unbroken line for hundreds of thousands of years. And it is running inside you right now. Quietly, constantly, without asking your permission. Most of the time you don't notice it, but sometimes, in certain moments, it surfaces so suddenly and so completely that it stops you in your tracks. Your heart is pounding before you know why. Your body has already moved before your mind has formed a thought. Every hair on your arms is standing up in response to something you haven't consciously processed yet. That is not fear. That is something older than fear. That is the survival instinct. And understanding it changes the way you see almost every automatic reaction you have ever had. But here is the question worth sitting with before we go any further. If you have spent your entire life in relative safety, if the threats your ancestors faced have mostly disappeared, why is it still here? Why hasn't evolution, which has had tens of thousands of years to adjust, simply turned it down? The answer is not what most people expect. And it reveals something about the nature of your brain that once you see, you cannot unsee. Let's start with what the survival instinct actually is. Because most people think of it as a single thing, a switch that flips when danger arrives. But it isn't a switch, it is a system. A layered, interconnected set of responses that activates across your entire body simultaneously, before conscious thought, before language, before any part of your reasoning mind has a chance to weigh in. When the system fires, your pupils dilate to let in more light. Your hearing sharpens, your heart pumps blood faster toward your muscles. Your digestion pauses, because digesting food is not a priority when survival is at stake. Your pain sensitivity drops so that an injury doesn't stop you from escaping. Your attention narrows to a single point. Every non-essential function in your body stands down. And every resource you have gets redirected toward one thing. Getting through the next 30 seconds, this is the fight or flight response. And it is so fast, so total, and so completely outside your conscious control that by the time you are aware it has activated, it has already been running for nearly half a second. Your body decided before you did. Now here is where it gets genuinely fascinating, because the survival instinct doesn't just respond to physical danger, it responds to anything your brain has ever associated with danger. A tone of voice, a sudden silence, a facial expression that shifted in the wrong direction, a feeling in your body that resembles a feeling you once had when something went wrong. The system doesn't require a predator, it requires a pattern, and once it recognizes a pattern it has filed under threat, it fires, regardless of whether the actual danger is present. Hold that thought, because this is where the ancient instinct begins to show up in places you would never expect. Think about the last time someone gave you critical feedback. Not a physical threat, not a dangerous situation, just words. And yet something happened in your body that was not entirely different from what would happen if someone had stepped too close too fast in a dark space. Your chest tightened, your breathing changed, something inside you contracted. Why? Because your survival system doesn't process the difference between a threat to your body and a threat to your standing. In the world your brain was built for, those were the same thing. To be criticized by the group was to risk being cast out. To be cast out was to lose protection, resources, and allies. To lose those things was, often, to die. So the brain learned to treat social threat with the same urgency as physical threat. And that learning is so deeply embedded, so foundational to the architecture of how you process the world, that no amount of conscious reassurance fully overrides it. You can tell yourself it's just feedback, just a comment, just an email, and your nervous system will nod politely and keep running the threat response anyway. But here is the layer that changes how you see your own instincts, because the survival system is not just reactive, it is predictive. Your brain is not waiting for danger to arrive before it begins preparing. It is constantly scanning ahead, looking for patterns that have previously preceded bad outcomes, flagging anything that resembles a warning sign, generating a low-level readiness in your body before there is anything specific to respond to. This is why certain environments make you uneasy for reasons you can't explain. Why certain combinations of sounds or light or social dynamics produce a subtle but unmistakable discomfort. Why sometimes you know something is wrong before you know what it is. That isn't intuition in the mystical sense. That is your survival system processing information faster than your conscious mind can follow. Reading micro-expressions your eyes registered but your awareness hasn't caught up to. noticing inconsistencies in tone or behavior that don't match the pattern of safety, detecting changes in your environment so subtle that no single one would trigger a conscious alarm, but enough of them together do. And the feeling they produce arrives as a hunch, a gut feeling, a sense that something is off. Researchers who study this phenomenon have found something remarkable. In high-stakes environments, people who learn to trust those early signals before they can fully articulate why consistently make better decisions than those who wait for conscious reasoning to catch up. Your ancient instinct is not less accurate than your thinking mind. In certain situations, it is significantly more accurate, because it is drawing on more information than you can consciously access. But here is where the instinct that kept your ancestors alive creates a very specific problem in the modern world. The survival system was calibrated for an environment where danger was rare, immediate, and usually resolved quickly. A predator appeared. The alarm fired. You responded. The threat passed. Your body returned to baseline. The whole cycle, from alarm to resolution, might last minutes. Modern life has broken that cycle almost completely. The threats you face now are not predators you can outrun. They are ongoing, unresolvable in the short term, often invisible and uncertain. And the survival system, which was never designed to stay on indefinitely, is being asked to run at a low constant hum for days, weeks, and sometimes years at a time. The alarm that was built for minutes is now running for months, and a body held in that state pays a cost. Sleep becomes lighter because the ancient brain doesn't permit deep sleep when it believes a threat is near. Digestion is affected because the gut is deprioritized when survival is active. Memory and decision-making shift in quality because the brain under threat narrows its focus rather than expanding it. You are not experiencing these things because something is wrong with you. You are experiencing them because an extraordinarily well-designed ancient system is running in conditions it was never built for, and it is doing its best. Now, here is what the research has uncovered that I find most quietly extraordinary. The survival instinct cannot be removed. It cannot be reasoned away. It cannot be outgrown, but it can be recalibrated, not by suppressing it, not by fighting it, by working with it. The nervous system has two modes: the threat mode you already know, and a second mode called the parasympathetic state, sometimes called rest and digest, which is the body's signal that the threat has passed and safety is present. And the remarkable thing is that you can move between them, not by deciding to, not by thinking your way there, but through the body. Slow exhalations directly stimulate the vagus nerve, which signals the brain that the threat response can stand down. Physical touch activates oxytocin, which is one of the most powerful modulators of the threat system. Predictable, rhythmic movement tells the ancient brain that the environment is stable and safe. Your body is not just where the survival instinct lives, it is also the most direct path to shifting it. Because the ancient system speaks in sensation, and sensation is how you speak back. Here is the thought I want to leave you with. Every reflex you have ever had that surprised you. Every time your body moved before your mind caught up. Every gut feeling that arrived without explanation. Every moment of unease in a situation that looked fine on the surface. That was this, a system refined over hundreds of thousands of years. In an unbroken chain of human beings who faced dangers you will never have to face, and survived them. Every single one of them. Because they had this. Because you have this. It has never been removed. It has never been replaced. It has never stopped running. And somewhere, beneath every thought you have ever had, beneath every decision and doubt and carefully reasoned conclusion, it is there, still watching, still scanning, still doing the oldest job in the history of your species, making sure you survive whatever comes next. You didn't inherit it by accident. You inherited it because the alternative was extinction. And every time it fires, in the right moment or the wrong one, in a genuine emergency or a Tuesday morning that just feels slightly off, it is the same ancient voice, the one that has been keeping your kind alive since before memory began, telling you the same thing it has always told you. Pay attention. Something is here.